Hey, everybody out there. Thank you for checking out this week's edition of the Chewsday Special Podcast. I have a special guest, like super professional wrestling fan with ties to professional wrestling. He's worked in the business and one of the overall coolest people. I'm sorry I didn't ask him if he'd grow a mullet or if he'd cut his hair into a mullet. I even talk about his lovely flowing hair, but is the one and only Johnny Smalls. If you're a PWX fan or if you're a PWX wrestler, you know him because he's been supporting us forever. He's worked with XWW. We get into that. We talk about a little bit about, we have a common interest in craft beer, and we just have a fun talk. I've been trying to put this thing together for at least a year now. I'm so glad it finally happened. So that's enough of me talking. Hope you enjoy this episode of the Tuesday Special Podcast with the one and only Johnny Smalls. What makes you drink it? You do like black iced coffee?
It's something I started doing recently, just drinking the black coffee.
Talking into it.
Sorry, it's something I started doing recently, drinking the black coffee, because all I do is eat a bunch of
keto?
No, not really, because I eat terribly anyway,
Yes.
so I'm just trying to cut out anything I can to help out.
I drink black coffee at my shoot job. And like the reason I started because of keto. And like anywhere else, I won't drink it. Like this is bougie triple shot mocha.
I was all fancy.
With whip and
Loaded with sugar and
cinnamon topping. That's a Brian thing. Cinnamon topping. He got me in New York when we were there for WrestleCon. Brian got me doing the cinnamon topping on stuff.
I used to always drink the white chocolate mochas, iced or hot, because they were just so good, but it was just so sweet. It was killing my stomach.
Yeah. Black coffee's good if you... I can't drink cold coffee. You don't drink hot coffee?
I do. I can only drink it when it's hot. If it's hot, I'll drink iced coffee, but any other time, it's always hot.
I seriously, when we first scheduled this thing, for those of you watching, we've been trying to do this for like a year now.
Yeah, it's been
roughly
a while.
Like around a year. So this is an accomplishment for us both. But I was really gonna bring like my favorite beer that they have out from Cabarrus for this, but then I realized we were doing it at 11 in the morning.
Yeah, it was like on a Monday.
And then I have Cy with me, and it's a Monday. Yeah, and I was like, I don't know if that's the way we need to start the week off.
I've actually got some of VCB in the fridge at the house.
Do you?
Yes.
Have you had any of their new ones?
I have not.
Dad Game or Dad Game Strong. Have you seen that one?
I have maybe. Is it the one with the
shoe on it?
Yes.
Yes. They did the commercial for it.
I'm a real picky beer drinker because like I don't do the IPAs, the hoppy beers.
Why not?
I don't like that bitter aftertaste on some of those.
Yeah, but you have to. The way IPAs work is you find one that you love. And when you find one that you love, it's like a transition. Basically, do you have a transition craft beer that transitioned you from like Bud Light, Miller Lite?
The first one I ever had was Noda Cavu.
Oh, that's a good one.
And because I've been in Charlotte going on 10 years this year.
Oh, where are you from?
Arkansas, Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Ah.
Born and raised.
So how old were you when you moved to Charlotte?
21. I turned 21 in June 2010, and I was here in August.
What made you move to Charlotte?
On a whim.
Just Charlotte?
Like
that amazes me.
Well, I knew some friends here that had lived here. They moved to Arkansas to work for like a flooring company, and I met them when I was still in high school. And
he's like, Charlotte's dope.
Like I came here with them a couple of times and was like, the town I'm from is still like 70,000 people, maybe 80,000. Like it's still real small.
In Arkansas.
Yeah. Back in Fayetteville.
Yeah.
And I have to remember that there's a Fayetteville here.
Yeah.
So you say from Fayetteville, they're like, oh, by the Army town. I'm like,
no.
Ozark Mountains, out west, Midwest, South, whatever you want to call it.
What's the biggest difference of like North Carolina living and Charlotte or in Arkansas living? No beaches in Arkansas?
No, because it's landlocked.
Yeah.
But like I grew up like not like in the mountains like country living, but grew up right in the Ozarks. So we were in the mountains all the time.
Hold on, you grew up in the Ozarks? Is it Arkansas where the Ozarks are?
Yeah, yes sir. Yeah,
like
Ozark
the show?
Mountains. I don't know about the show.
Well, no. Is the Ozarks in the show based in Arkansas?
Maybe. I'm not totally sure. I've never watched that show.
Is there a lot of lakes?
Yeah.
Like big lakes?
Yeah, like I grew up right by Beaver Lake. I don't know if it's like one of the biggest lakes or not, but like the road I grew up on dead end at the boat dock to that lake.
I wish I was more knowledgeable about Arkansas. I just know Clinton.
That's all anybody knows is like Tyson's, Walmart, and Clinton.
And Razorbacks.
Like, that's it.
And Razorbacks.
And Razorbacks.
Yeah. So you moved to Charlotte at 21, going to school or anything?
No.
Just was like, I'm going to go to Charlotte.
Yeah, just
That fascinates me because I've never, like, I've always stayed around Charlotte. And my parents went to, like, I could have done it easily because my parents moved from here to Alabama, lived in, like, San Antonio for a bit. Then they went to Alabama, or I'm sorry, not Alabama, went to Texas, lived in San Antonio for a bit. Then went to Alabama, lived in Seguin, Alabama for a bit, and then came back here. And so I had it was when I was probably 23-ish, 23, 24-ish, and maybe earlier than that, maybe like 20. But like I had all the opportunities in the world to go somewhere else and experience it without having to come out of pocket for rent or find a house or an apartment on my own.
yeah, like because I graduated in 2007, and I didn't do much. Like
Yeah.
odd jobs here and there, did the flooring thing a little bit here and there. It was just kind of like coasting along, trying to do like as little as I could. Because
Yeah.
I was still kind of partying at that time.
Yeah. I
Won't
mean,
get into
you
too
don't
many
go out
details,
of,
but
I feel like you don't get out of partying till like 25, 26-ish.
yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Because
Yeah.
I mean, around that time, like it was just.
Yeah. You have to live out, even if you don't go to college, you got to live out this college life, that college.
And that's
template
That's
of
what it
4
was.
years, 5
it was
years.
a bunch of us, late teens, early 20s,
Yeah.
in a big house together, and like it was just, every night was a party, drinking a
yeah.
lot, and
I've been there. So there wasn't a underlying reason that you were just like, I'm going to go to Charlotte and start a new life.
well, I first came here December 2008, but I was only here for like a few months, and was just, like,
okay.
I fell in love with it. Like I actually lived out in Indian Trail
Okay.
with a friend.
Yeah.
But like we'd come in, I worked in Charlotte. I worked off of Statesville Avenue
Okay.
in a warehouse, and I was just like, I never, the biggest city in Arkansas
Yeah.
is Little Rock, and it's still like
It's still like
it's
little
nothing
mountain-
compared to this.
little mountain
it's
town.
just a little tiny thing. So I just fell in love with the city, and in August, it's kind of weird. I was with a friend in Alabama, and basically I got stranded, and I was literally stuck in between Arkansas and North Carolina, and I called a friend here, and they're like, "Hey, we'll come pick you up," and I was like, I guess I'm starting my life in North Carolina. When I came here,
That's wild.
August 2010, I had a backpack full of clothes, and that was it.
Really?
Like I probably had $100 in my wallet. Wow. Like I literally came here with nothing.
That's
And
crazy.
just basically
I mean,
restarted my life because like I had gotten like very minor trouble, nothing like super serious, but it was just.
it's young stuff.
I mean, it wasn't
Everybody
working out
does.
for me. I was coasting along, being a burnout, not doing anything. So I was
Yeah.
like, "Fuck, let me
Let me go.
go."
Hit the reset button.
yeah."
And start
I can
up
cuss
and-
in here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try to keep it
I
as
might
PG
call
as
you
I
out a
can,
few
but
times, but no, you're fine. You just make me put an exclusive on my
Yeah, be like, "Sorry, guys."
on my iTunes setting. But no, I don't mind. I'll probably cuss before the end of this is over with some of the stuff we'll talk about. But no, so Arkansas, because I don't as much as me and you've talked before, I don't know your backstory. You probably don't know my backstory, which mine doesn't matter. They hear it all the time
Yeah.
on here. But that's interesting that it's like what goes through your mind when like you're in that, which I guess nothing. If I had to guess what's going through your mind, I would think nothing. Like it's just like you just move forward. You just got to keep moving forward.
Exactly what it was. It was
Yeah.
just, when I moved here, it was just like, all right, like I got to restart my life. I got to
Yeah.
get my life together. I've got to.
Was it refreshing in a sense?
It was. It really was because it felt like not necessarily like a weight had been lifted, but it was just like I felt I could just start from scratch. I could like rebuild my life to what I wanted it to be, not go along with what everybody else was doing.
See,
Because
that's
that's what
what
I was trying to do. I was like, oh, this is what y'all are doing. Let
Yeah.
me do that. Let
Yeah.
me just try to get in with this. And it wasn't working out. And weird opportunity happened, and I came here. And like I still go home a few times,
Yeah.
see the folks and all that.
So
keep up with
you
them,
say
but
parents and family
Yeah, all
still
of-
live in Arkansas?
all of them except my little brother moved to Oregon for a
Oh.
while. He moved back recently.
I wonder what the Arkansas Oregon
Yeah, right.
transition is.
I couldn't
Just
live up
likes
there,
he
too
likes
much rain.
he likes the outdoors. Does he?
He does.
Yeah. Okay.
He
Because that's what I was going to say is that I would feel like when people get stuck, especially at a young age, with a bunch of friends that really aren't heading anywhere, like you just continuously stay in that circle.
Because it was just the same thing over and over. Like I wasn't
Just like repeat.
I wasn't progressing. It was just
yeah.
the same. Or I'd restart and just get back to the same thing. Like I didn't have any motivation.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I wasn't motivated to do anything.
Do you think it's because you were stuck in like a small town and I feel like when you're stuck in a small town, it took me a long time to realize the possibilities or not really the possibilities, that's not the right word. The fact that if no matter your skill set, no matter your mindset, no matter your background, no matter your race, no matter anything, if you willingly want to do it, you can do whatever you want to do. And you have to, this is what I tell everybody, is you can't let the world's guidelines of success determine whether you're successful at what you're doing or not.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. And it wasn't like my parents weren't like pressuring me to go to college, do anything like certain.
Yeah.
They just wanted me to be happy, do what I wanted to do. So when I moved
you got
here,
good parents.
I do. They're great.
Yeah.
And when I moved here, like my older sister got kind of mad when I left because she kind of felt like I like abandoned everybody, and I'm like, it wasn't like that. It was like I needed a fresh start.
Yeah, you needed that to get your life in order.
And coming here, I've worked at I won't say the name, but I've worked at a dog grooming salon in Matthews for 6 years now.
I bet that's fun though.
Man, it's great.
You love dogs. You're a dog lover.
Oh yeah, my boy will be 7 next month.
Nice.
And
I know, like Brad put out that thing on Facebook yesterday.
Yes, everybody posting their dogs.
Everybody's posting a picture of their dogs. But yeah, so now you're in Charlotte. Me and you know each other from professional wrestling.
Yes.
I felt like I knew of you before we met, only because of an interesting interaction that me and Manny had at one point in time when I owned my own company. That we've gotten over it, but that got me attention. That turned my attention to WXW. It's WXW, right? XWW.
Extreme World Wrestling.
Yeah, XWW. Yep. And you were one of the camera people. Or you did a lot of stuff, but I saw you filming.
Yeah, I've filmed. I've set up the ring. I've ran sound. I've managed the back. I've done all kinds of things. I've pretty much done everything except for wrestle.
Gotcha.
Manny tried to make me a manager at one point, but I don't usually do good on camera.
Yeah.
But
I don't either.
Like I was the worst manager because I just stood there.
Yeah.
And he'd be trying to like give me pointers, and I'm just like, nope.
I don't know.
Like I wasn't going to do nothing.
I don't want to do anything that's going to take attention. Because when you're a manager, you have to worry you have to worry if you're taking attention off the wrestling, then the boys are going to be mad. If you're not doing enough, the promoter's going to get mad.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing. And the sad thing is, we're around Tommy, who's one of the best
amazing
ever do it on the independent circuit, or maybe ever. And he makes it look so easy. Like,
it's natural, and he just flows right off, and it just goes and goes.
And you say, no. He'll come back and I'll say, Tommy, I loved it, everything. And he's just like, yeah, I'm just doing my thing, Pat. It's cool. And I'm just like, do you even try? Do you even try? Like, it's so effortless, and I love him for it, and I hate him for it, just because. Well, I love it from where I stand, from my standpoint in PWX, because I can like put him on commentary, and he's helped groom Dave and Pure.
Oh, they're great together.
And I can put him with Brett in PWX, and I can just drop him wherever I need, and he's excels at everything I ask him to do.
See, early days of my run of XWW with Manny, because
before we jump into that, how did you and Manny get together?
I knew one of his roommates at the time through a mutual friend of mine, and like I'd go to the house and I'd see Manny, like I knew who he was. I didn't know anything about him doing anything with wrestling.
Yeah,
I just knew him as the guy that shot music videos, and very minimal interaction. He'd be like, "Oh, hey, Smalls, what's up?" Like, "Oh, he's downstairs," or he's hanging out upstairs, whatever buddy I was going to hang out with. And one day I was there with my friend Seth, who I knew back in Arkansas, that was from Charlotte.
Yeah,
and we all ended up moving here, and one day the guy was like, "Hey, Manny's got a wrestling ring in his backyard," and we're both like, we had no idea. So we ran downstairs and talked to Manny, and he was just getting ready to restart XWW. Gotcha. And this was end of 2010, beginning of 2011, maybe something like that.
Because I think I started Evo in September of 2011.
Yeah, because my first show with Manny with XWW was November 2011 out at Kate Skate Rink in Indian Trail.
Oh, okay.
And
So you weren't. No, Kate's might have been. I thought he had like a little place where he ran, not the one that he just did. he had a little place that he ran before he went to Kate's.
There
I know he ran. Wait, you weren't with him when he ran Tremont?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Was that after Kate's?
We
that
ran
was-
Kate's off and on from 2011 till 2014 when we stopped the first time.
Yeah. Because I remember seeing his stuff at Kate's.
There was a little before the Tremont days. There was a little venue off of North Tryon. It was just called the Venue. I don't remember the woman's name who owned it, but I mean, it was 10-foot high ceilings. Like we had our low boy in there, and like you still like if you're
That
on the
might be
top
what I've
rope,
seen.
you had to like lean over and.
Yeah. It looked like a little like office building, kind of like this.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
But you know, it was like our ring being in this part of the building with the low ceiling instead of in there.
Because I've seen
where
some of
it's
his like music videos that he used to do from shows.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've seen it in that place before.
But yeah, like, and it was a cool little venue, like cheap rent.
Yeah.
And she always had chairs. I mean, we could only fit like 50 people in there.
Yeah.
But and that's where I met Zane Riley and Sweet Dreams. Those were the two first like independent wrestlers I ever met. And but yeah, that was like end of 2011, beginning of 2012.
Gotcha.
And I don't remember how we got in at Tremont.
Zane probably.
Probably so, yeah, because like the whole
I think
music scene
Zane's
there.
the one that got us in there. Zane was the hookup for. I mean, this is when Tyshawn owned it. I want to say Zane was the hookup for Tremont, for Neighborhood, and for whatever that other place was in Noda, Chop Shop.
The Chop Shop. Funny story about that was
Let's hear it, because I don't know anything about it. That was when I was on hiatus.
like our first show at Tremont was April 2012, and we ran there pretty much the rest of 2012. And then May of 2012, we found a venue, the Chop Shop.
Yeah.
It used to be off 36th and Noda. Ran one show there. And a couple months later is when all the hoopla happened with Neighborhood Theater and all of that.
Oh yeah.
And next
Neighborhood
thing,
theater not getting paid.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And next thing we know, we're trying to book Chop Shop, and PWX is running in there, and they were like, "What the hell?" Okay, fine. We still got Tremont. We've got our little
And
venue.
then
We've
they
got
start
Kate
running
Skate Rink.
Tremont.
It's fine. So, end of 2012, beginning of 2013.
Yeah. Tremont.
John at Tremont's like, "Hey, man, PWX is going to start running here." And Manny at that time, I still don't know exactly what happened, but him and Tyshawn did not like each other. It's something from High Spots or something days.
Let me tell you a story. I lied. I have been to one ex-WW show. It was at Tremont, and Tyshawn asked me to go with him.
Oh, was where we had Doink the Clown.
No.
No?
I don't think so. It was, we went, and I knew Sweet Dreams from when I first started wrestling. He was part of the crew that, the first promotion that I ever wrestled for when I was really green and not good, and it was a little shit promotion, and it was what it was. But I knew a few of the guys. I knew Zane, so Zane came out and we were talking shit to him. Then Manny came out, and me and Ty were just talking shit because we're wrestlers, and we giving him heat because he wants heat, so we're giving him heat.
Yeah, he's the bad guy. You're supposed
And
to
he
talk
got
shit to him.
so mad. I mean, this is what I was told. He never said anything to me, but apparently he got so mad at Tyshawn because Ty is Ty.
Yeah.
And wanted to fight him. And I was just this is what I do when I go to wrestling shows. I do one of two things. If it's a show that I'm interested in, some of the people that I just want to see, A, how their production is, B, give them feedback on how they can improve how I think they can improve their live performance or live show. And C, let me see if I can see a wrestler that interests me, and because all it takes is for me to see them do one thing, and I'm I can build on that.
Yeah, you can take that and run with it.
I just got an idea. I can build on that. I'm going to go talk to them and see if they want to come work with us. Not because I'm trying to steal talent, which is what everybody thinks.
You just want to help build that talent up.
Yeah. I mean, if I can help someone get better at their craft, we're not going to sign people and keep them forever. We're not going to sign people to lifetime contracts. I'm not that naive. Some people might be, but I'm not.
No.
So I know that. So my job is not to keep people from working everywhere else, which is another, somehow that's gotten out there that we don't want people working for other companies. I could give a shit less who you work for.
Well, you know how it goes. This person says something, they tell that person, and then before you know it's switched around to these people hate them, and it's
well, the problem is
No.
people at some point in time, which this is happening a lot on some cases, because in other cases that are going on, especially right now, like you need to pay attention to what people are saying in stories and try to find facts. But at some point in like the independent wrestling scene in the South, like North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, maybe Alabama, but I don't really know many people in Alabama. No. But it got to a point where what fans say is considered truth as opposed to opinion. So a fan would say, well, I think they're doing it like this. And next thing you know, everybody thinks that's the truth. And it's the furthest thing from the truth.
Exactly. That's how everybody runs with it.
It's just an opinion. It's just like a podcast.
Exactly. That's what they think. That's not what's really freaking going on.
And then they go out, and then next thing you know, you get a phone call or a text message to say, hey, are you guys doing this? And I'm like, no.
Like the first time I've heard of it.
Why would we do that? It makes no sense. Oh, that's what I was thinking, but I've heard it from a few people and I didn't know. And I'm like, A, who cares? We don't make $1 million. We're not worth $1 million. We do well to make tens of thousands of dollars a year with the company. We just do it because it's a passion, and we want to align ourselves. I mean, I think the Legend show, and I'm going to shut up after this because I'm talking too much because they want to hear you talk. They don't want to hear me talk. The Legend show is the prime example of why me and Brian do this. We want to put ourselves in a position financially and the partnerships that we've created with bigger companies to be able to put on a show for fans like the Legend show
of that caliber. Of that caliber. That was amazing.
Because even I don't care if 300 people would have showed up for that. We gave 300 people the ability to see someone who was going to retire that might have never had that opportunity before, and that's worth it.
Exactly. And people were so excited about that. They got to get their photo ops. They got to meet him, and everybody. Not one person said anything bad about him. Like he wasn't mean or rude to anybody. He was just
most respectful,
nicest guy
person,
you could meet.
Most humble legend I've ever met in my entire life.
Which honestly, I wouldn't expect anything less from him, from Liger. You know, because he's just.
The funniest story has Brad ever told you the story about right before he walked out? I know he's told it on this podcast. About us looking over and him standing in the fog and the lights and looking like a damn Power Ranger.
So I think we've had that.
Like you see the silhouette, and we're just like,
yeah. He could just see the outline of him coming through the smoke and
picture. And Hector still. Brad has a picture on his phone. I think I still have it, but Hector took a picture of it. So I'll look it up when we finish, and I'll show it.
And I'm sure that was a great feeling seeing that.
Oh,
I mean, that's what this whole show built towards.
Oh yeah, that was one of the most fulfilling from something that we've built. I think I want to say the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in wrestling was Hammerstein, like live editing Hammerstein.
Oh, I'm sure that was amazing
for New Japan, and that's just like even if I don't get to do anything else in my life,
you can say you had that.
Yeah, that's incredible, and it's documented forever because I had my hand on what people watched when they watched that show on New Japan World. But yeah, outside of that, from us building something, I mean, every PWX show to me is a blessing because I remember when we did it in front of 25 people.
Oh yes,
like with the Briscoes on the card and Rhett Titus on the card,
and just a handful of people in the crowd, and it's
75 people,
some of the best talent
at this little rec center off Eastway, and it's just like okay, and that's what people don't get is people. I know I said I was going to shut up, but I'm still talking.
It's the coffee,
but the coffee's kicking in.
Yeah,
the people are quick to jump on like, well, Patrick's doing this, or even like Brian's doing this, or even other people that have other promotions that are bigger, like NWA, like Wildside, which is Anarchy now, which was whatever. Like the opportunities they've presented to people, as well as the memories that they've created for the fan base of Georgia, are unmatched. But nobody realizes, like nobody knows the journey. Nobody knows how much time we've put in. How like
they don't see all that. Nobody sees the behind the scenes. Like
that. Like I've ridden with Jake to New York and put up a ring, filmed a show, broke down a ring, drove back. Like 10 hours each way.
I mean, there were times in 2012 where we were running 3 to 4 shows a month.
That's insane.
Because we'd run Tremont, we'd run Indian Trail out at Kate's. Then we did we ran Mooresville a few times. We ran Radesboro, Belmont. Like we were trying to just get around and kind of build the name up. I mean, and it was fun, but it was just I got burnt out so quick just because it was so much. Like it was just like this Friday there's a show, next Friday there's a show, next Saturday there's a show, 2 weeks later there's another show, and it was just like,
yeah,
it was
and
fun, but it was
like,
too much.
Yeah, I get it, but you can do that when it's your full-time job. When it's not your full-time job, that's hard.
Well, and I don't know if Manny's gonna like me saying this, but we never had any sponsors.
Yeah,
All those shows were us.
yeah,
Like
you out of his pocket or out of XWW pocket.
Yeah, out of everybody's pockets, and it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, some people will hear that and they'll say, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you spent your money like that. But like that's where it has to start.
Well,
like
and that's how passionate we were about it. It was like we are going to keep this going. We are going to do what we have to do to keep these shows going, and we did.
And and you have ownership over it. Like
exactly. There's nobody over our head telling us, "Hey, you have to pay us this. You have to do this."
Exactly.
I mean,
like
Manny could do everything he wanted to do, and because he was paying for it. So
yeah, it's your money, and that's why you're going to put in the time to make it work. Because that's what everybody said is you got to bet on yourself at some point. Like at some point, if you want to be super successful, or you listen to anybody's success story, there's a point in time where you choose to either jump off the cliff and trust that the parachute's on your back, or back up and go back to what you were doing. You know, and that's the difference between people that have done cool stuff but now are back and people that are continuing to live their dream and do cool stuff. Not to downplay anybody.
No, not at all.
Everybody has their personal choices, and they're free to do whatever they want to. But if you choose that lifestyle, and you want to do what you what you feel like you were born to do, and you're passionate about, then at some point you find that part of your journey where it's very hard. Well, and that kills me because I've lost opportunities because I can't walk away from my full-time job because I don't trust it.
I mean, you can't lose your full-time pay and then try to rely on this where you're not going to make your monthly bills.
Yeah, and that's
off of running these shows. As much fun as they are, as many people that come out.
You have to be realistic about it.
Yes, exactly. And that was one thing what I really liked about doing it, the wrestling with Manny, was I was one of those. It was so weird. I've liked wrestling for as long as I can remember, but I never wanted to be a wrestler. I loved watching everything, but I never wanted, for whatever reason, I wasn't like, I want to be that guy in the ring. I want to be the Jeff Hardy, the Rey Mysterio, the Hulk Hogan. But I loved the business as a whole. Yeah. So it was kind of like fulfilling a childhood dream.
Definitely.
Being able to tell friends back home and family, it's like, hey, we're running wrestling shows on our own. Like, we're doing our own thing. We're building our own characters.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, we had people that have never worked anywhere else except for XWW. And
you have some people that started their career with XWW.
Yeah.
Which is another thing to be proudful about as well, because you don't know if anybody else would have given them that opportunity to get ring time and start their career.
I mean, and
that's the one thing that's overlooked by a major portion of.
And there were people, we didn't have a hand in them, their success that they've achieved, but it's cool to say that, we've booked Cedric Alexander.
Yeah.
We've booked Masada. We've booked Terry Houston. Well, yes, Terry Houston. He's a great dude.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy, Tommy Dreamer. Like, it was cool being able to
Necro Butcher.
Yes.
Did y'all book Necro Butcher?
Oh, quite a few times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's incredible because I love him.
Quite a few times.
I love him as a human being. Do not like him as a wrestler because he is scary as shit. But
watching this man do like 10,000 thumbtack matches barefoot is like, how in the hell?
Hey, did you when y'all booked him? Did you ever sit and talk with him?
Oh, all the time.
It's so smart.
It's crazy how smart he is. Like, people would see him in the ring and they're like, this guy looks like a damn hobo. And then you talk to him and it's like, he's very intelligent. He's very book smart. He read a lot.
One of the funniest stories ever, to me, is after Ring of Honor was in Charlotte. This is when I was working with Ring of Honor. It was a Charlotte show. I don't know if you might have been in North Carolina. It was at the Metrolina Expo. And the main event was a cage match, which was Steen and Generico versus, I think, All Night Express.
Was that 2010?
Maybe.
I might have been here for that.
Well, yeah, possibly. Because I get my years. I'm horrible on dates.
Same.
It was, I don't know. But I was leaving. It's like 11:30 at night. It was when, did you go, When did you start going to PWX shows? Did you ever go to PWX shows at Neighborhood?
I did, and I have a funny story
Did you
about
go to the
that.
Steen
we
Hardy
can get
show?
to. Yes.
So I filmed the Matt Hardy Kevin Steen interaction that we put on PWX YouTube after that show because Matt had come in just to film that.
Nice. Okay.
And after all that, well, it was like 11:45 when I was leaving, and I got in my car and flipped the lights on, and like when I flipped the lights on, it was Necro, Nana, Hunter, and somebody else, like partaking in something, and they just like deer in headlights.
Like, oh god, we got caught.
Look at me, and I was just like, sorry, and I go to back out, and Necro goes. That's it. That's it.
Hey,
and I laughed about that the entire way home, like just, and then just goes back to doing what they're doing.
Yeah,
funny.
we booked him a few times, and he was always
Super
great.
nice guy. Yeah.
His online presence recently hasn't been so great, but I don't want to get into political stuff. I don't like talking all that.
I don't pay attention to online stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
but
I don't think anybody's online presence is doing very well right now.
No, it's really not. Like,
it's crazy, and I don't want to turn this into a political podcast, but it's I've made my stuff known, and I think you have too online about the Black Lives Matter movement, and we support that. And if anybody's in the Charlotte area and you haven't got a chance to go see that the mural they painted on the road, it's amazing.
I haven't yet. I really need to. Like, I've seen the picture of it, but I haven't actually been uptown yet to actually see it.
It's amazing, and I respect it. Like I shouldn't say I respect. I do respect it. I admire it from two different angles. I admire it because I love the gesture and the permanent nature of what they did to remind people. But I'm also an artist, so like you
can appreciate.
Oh, I
every
go in there, I look at it, and I'm like people. And one thing I've never been able to do is paint with my hands. And to go down there and look at it and just look at like. You can in pictures it's amazing, but when you go down there and see it in person,
see it zoomed in, you see all the words that are
with
written
your own
and painted,
eyes,
and
and you see the detail, and you're just like, man, it's amazing that we got such talented people with such good heads on their shoulders to be able to do something like that.
It's amazing.
But with the speaking out thing, I was talking to one of my friends about this that are in the wrestling business, and like, I feel part of me feels terrible about it because. Like, if you've been in wrestling for longer than 5 years, you've heard stories. Just like in anything, you've heard stories. Not necessarily the stories that are being told, but like hints at like, oh, this guy's a little creepy.
Yeah, like
this guy's been weird. This guy runs his mouth way too much and this and that. And you've always been like, well, just tell him to shut up. And you never like took the initiative to say, hold on. Now, do you need some help with something? Is there something going on that you need to make me aware of?
And I feel bad about that because like I feel like. And it's not that, nobody cares. It's just, we're just trying to be like, because a lot of people are so afraid to like make it a big deal because they don't want to get blacklisted. They don't want to get,
exactly.
They don't want to ruin their opportunity, which is so crazy that somebody has to silence themselves so they don't get their opportunity to ruin. It's like 100%. That just blows my mind. I understand. I get that fear though, but it just sucks that's how it is. It's like I didn't say anything because I didn't want to lose my opportunity, and it's like
incredible.
Man.
I mean, I get it. I get it because I've been in a position when I was a wrestler that you don't want.
You want to bite your tongue. So
you don't want to step on toes because you never. That the problem is in a career like professional wrestling or acting or musician or anything like that. You never know when your opportunity is going to come. So there's always that little piece of your mind that's saying like, well, what if I do this and the gig that this person was going to get me the next time is the gig that somebody from Nashville is going to see me, and that's going to be my record deal. And what if I put this into motion? That's what we've trained our brains to think as like performers or self-employed actors, performers, singers, wrestlers, is that we are so sold on we've gotten out of the mindset of if it's going to happen for me. Like I have a journey that's already like if you believe in God, if you believe in that your journey is already paved, it's just a matter of you walking the road.
Yeah.
Like my journey is already laid out for me. If I'm supposed to be successful in doing this, I will get to that destination my decisions might alter the timetable of when I get to that destination, but ultimately,
but I'll get there. If I keep going, I'm going to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'll get to that destination. People forget about that, and they take like the human mind takes humanity into it and says, well, if I make this person mad, this person might be my door to here.
Yeah, and they're going to tell the next person about it, and they're not going to want to. They're not going to want to mess with me.
And what if it ruins my? And it's I agree with you 100%. It's sad that that's the way our mind works, and we need to get out of that nature, like out of that mindset. It's just a matter of like trusting, like not really like trusting people's. When somebody comes to you with something, first off, make it a point to make people aware that if there is ever any issues, male, female, if it comes to your sexuality, if it comes to race, in any platform, in any setting that you have any power over, or that you can be of some assistance to eliminate it, like people need to be comfortable with bringing it to your attention.
Yes, yeah. Don't be afraid about somebody.
Yeah,
and I've seen some of these promotions that are, they're trying to like have their people not speak about the Black Lives Matter movement and like, you about to get unbooked, and it's like, I would never unbook somebody for speaking their mind like that. Like, please, that's something that needs to be told. People need to speak out about, the abuse of power, even not necessarily even like, physical or mental abuse, but the abuse of power, people being in positions and trying to force people into things because it's like, well, I book for this company, and if you want to, work here, you're gonna do what I say, and it's like, no, like call these people out, let these people know.
I've never
what's
been
going
one
on.
to, like, I'll openly say it because I think me and Brian have openly said it online. Is like me and Brian dropped the ball in presenting our stance on the Black Lives Movement matter from a PWX standpoint, and like I don't make excuses. We dropped the ball. We should have put our opinion out there, or where we stand out there,
because you have that platform.
Well,
you have
and I
the
agree,
exposure.
When we got some kickback because we haven't, I immediately understood where they were coming from, and I immediately understood because we've always presented ourselves as a very like on the forefront of standing up for
you're standing up for everybody's actions, whether you're
like religion, people's race,
creed,
people's
everything.
sex, sexual orientation. Like, listen, we just want you to be happy. We want you to be happy and be comfortable when you come to our shows.
Yes.
We want our talent to not have to fear anything of that nature, whether it be their sexuality, whether it be their race. That none of that matters to us, because ultimately, where I stand on it, I can speak from a company standpoint in a sense of where we kind of got lost in the shuffle of making our stance known is like we have made that statement pretty standard and official for the past 2 years, 3 years, that we don't put up with any racial stuff. We don't put up with any like you throwing any words out towards like lesbian or the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, no slurs towards anybody.
We've made a stance on it to our fan base.
Yes.
That if at any point in time, at any of our events or on social media or on our website or at any time that PWX is associated with anything, if you cross that barrier, cross that line, you are not welcome here anymore. You will be escorted out, and you are not welcome back.
Because wrestling is for everyone.
Yes.
No matter where you come from.
Yes.
It should be a safe place. You shouldn't have to worry about expressing yourself and being who you are.
Exactly. We spend thousands and thousands of dollars a month to present a place that you can come and forget about the worries of the world. Forget about everything that's going on outside these doors, and just let's have a party. Let's have fun. That's why we've pushed that I shouldn't say we pushed. We feel like us and our fan bases are a big family. Because I'm on show days, I'm not the most social person on the face of the earth. Just because I have 10 million things. I have 10 million things going through my head, but I have made it a point to try to say hello to people.
Yes, and
if people say hello to me, I love when people say, "Hey, Patrick. Hey, how are you doing?
And
good."
And sometimes you don't have time to stop and talk to people like, "Hey, how you doing?" I know how that is, and that's why I always love messing with Brian. Every show day, I'm like, "Hey, you look stressed," and he just. I was like, I love you, but I just got to mess with you because I've been there. I know that stress of the ring showed up late. You got to open doors in an hour, and you still got to set up a whole ring and 150 chairs, and you got 3 people helping set up the ring.
Definitely.
And like I said, I've never wrestled, and I've set up and torn down a ring more times than I can count.
Yeah, to where you can do it in your sleep.
Yeah, like I know exactly where it goes. It's like, all right.
It's just going through the motions. It's muscle memory.
And I tell you, one of the things I've done with wrestling, I always hated. I hated filming, and not necessarily hated it, but I was really bad about. I'd start looking.
Well, y'all filmed with DSLRs too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard.
But I mean, like it would start out well, and I'm like looking at everything, but then I'd find myself watching the match. So we'd go back and watch the footage, and I'd be like showing the apron, or you'd see their feet, and I'm like, oh shit. So like Manny's added in the footage. He's like, well, damn it, got to cut that out.
Exactly.
There was
that's one like good thing but bad thing about filming is I learned when I want to say is when I worked with Ring of Honor. And it might have been somebody who will remain nameless because of certain accusations that just came out, told me, like, when you're filming something, I guess, of this caliber is the way he said it, like, live through the lens.
Yeah, you can't take your eyes off of that. If you take your eyes off of it, you're going to miss that opportunity.
Exactly. So you have to be aware of your surroundings, but you need to live like you're watching TV through the lens and forget that this is going on right in front of you. And like I've taken that. That's how I kind of taught Dutch. Like you have to live through the lens. When we got Cody and Chicken and all them, they were seasoned at filming wrestling already.
They'd already been doing that, so they knew what to do, what to look for.
But like, I kind of brought Dutch in because he was looking for something to do, and he likes doing. He went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and he likes filming. So me and him were friends, and we did the Cane Punch comedy stuff. And that's how he kind of came into the picture. And now, like, look at the opportunities he's had.
He's filmed for...
Yeah, he's filmed for so many people and so many opportunities, and I'm glad he's gotten those. But yeah, that's the hardest thing is learning how to live through the 3x3 inch.
Yeah, because I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's... yeah, I mean, and you get lost in it, too, because you'll film... Like, I remember I was in New York one time for NEW, and I filmed a show with Terry Funk and Jerry the King Lawler wrestled in like an I Quit match or something like that. And like I didn't even get to enjoy the moment of like Terry Funk, Jerry the King Lawler.
Because you're having to focus on what you're doing.
Because I'm so in depth of like I want to make this look good. I want to make this look good.
Yeah, you don't want to miss anything. You
and
want
Terry
it to look
Funk
great.
chased me with a chair for like 2 full laps around the ring. Like to the point where I was so blown up that I was like, I'm just gonna let him hit me.
You can just take me out. Let me rest.
I'm just
gonna
let
him
hit me and sell it, and because I don't feel like running anymore. But he finally he threw it and hit my leg, and then got in the back of the ring. And I was like, "Was this like? Did somebody? Is he ribbing me?" I'm sure he was, but I was like, "Was this?"
You didn't
planned?
know. You're like, "What?"
No, I had no idea. That same show, Bret Hart was there, and this is one of my favorite stories. And it was the main event. It was 2 tag team partners that didn't like each other that were going to have like their blow off match, and one of them looks at Bret Hart, who's supposed to be the enforcer of the thing. He's sitting down at the chair looking up with his leather jacket on and his shirt. And the guy looks at him and goes, and I pan over to Bret Hart, who's sitting there, and Bret Hart looks dead in the camera and goes, "What the fuck are you filming me for?" And points back.
You're like, "Oh."
And I was like,
"My bad. Let me go." Yeah. Needless to say, though, I didn't film much longer.
Like 2 shows.
Yeah. Well, there was one show it was either Belmont or Wadesboro in one of them armories.
Yeah.
And there was like a rumble match. There was like 10 people out there.
Oh, which you're not going to
and
film
people are
anyway.
Yeah. And I'm trying, man. He's like, "Get in there and get what you can." I was like, "All right."
No.
And I wasn't thinking about like this is the audio that he's going to use on the show.
Yeah.
And I'm cussing. I'm like, if these motherfuckers don't get out of my way,
I
I swear
have 2
to
cameras
God.
or just that one?
Oh, we had the hard cam and then like the one roaming
hard cam audio.
And but like, cause that was usually the audio that he used. And we went, after every show, we'd always go back to the house and put it on the TV and watch it while we sat there and hung out. Mm-hmm. And I was just, we laughed the whole time because I'm just cussing this whole battle royal. I'm just like, if these fucking people don't get out of my way, I'm gonna start kicking them. Like,
what's the name of that show? Because I'm gonna shoot Manny a message and see if I can get like a DVD.
Gosh, I don't even remember.
It's on demand. God,
it might be on our YouTube page.
Okay, I'll look it up.
We got a few of our shows on there.
I think I've seen a few clips of.
Like I know our death match that we ran is on there. Death of the Queen. I think the show that we had, the Buried Alive match with Tommy, or not Buried Alive match with Tommy Dreamer, a casket match. We gave Tommy Dreamer his first casket match
Really?
that he ever had. Yep, XWW.
Did he win?
Yeah.
Oh God, that'd have been amazing if he got there and you said, "Tommy, we're gonna need you to go in the casket. We're trying to put this kid over."
That show, and
Oh, you got a good story.
rest
for
in
that
peace
show?
to Matt Osborne, Doink the Clown.
Yeah.
But we're at Tremont, and we're waiting for everybody to get there. Like we had Reed Flair at the time. That was the show. We booked Cedric. We had Tommy Dreamer. It was
Nice.
a big
Got a good
show.
little roster
And that
going.
was the month after we had just booked Matt Hardy versus Big Country.
I remember when you guys promoted Matt Hardy for like 2
And,
months, right?
Yeah.
Before he came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just because, we wanted to get all that monies back that we booked on
Yeah.
it,
Oh yeah.
But so we're out in the park, and you've been to Tremont. They had that gravel parking lot to the side. We're all standing out there. The show hasn't started. This little gray SUV pulls in and is like does a donut in the parking lot, and it's Matt Osborne,
Just gone.
just like woo, and we're like, what the fuck? So he gets out of the car.
Now did he drive? So he drove you in?
Yeah.
Where's he from?
I don't really remember,
Huh.
but I think he like drove to somebody's house and then they drove him down
okay.
or something. But he was the one driving. And they pull into the parking lot, and he does a big old donut, and he's like, "Hey, everybody, what's going on?"
Mm-hmm.
And
He gets out.
there was, I guess, I don't really know the whole story, but I guess like back in the day, there was some like real heat between him and Ric Flair. Well, he found out we had Reed Flair, R.I.P.,
Yeah.
booked on the show.
Yeah.
And Reed was out in the parking lot with us, just hanging out, and goes back
I
inside.
think I heard about this.
And oh my gosh.
But keep telling the story.
So
for the
he
people that
goes,
are
so,
watching.
we go back inside. We had the ring set up, and everybody's kind of getting the ring time in before the show starts. And Matt Osborne comes in and starts hollering at Reed. And he's like, "Hey, come here. You peed on my car." And we're like, "Dude, what the hell are you talking about?" He's like, "He just pissed on my car." It's like, "No, he didn't."
He's in
So
the ring.
so Reed gets out of the ring and comes to, because we had the guardrail set up and everything.
Yeah.
So he comes over there and he grabs Reed. And we're like, "What the hell?" And like Sweet Dreams is in the middle of it. And my buddy Seth like tried to like come up behind him and like put his arms around his shoulders, but he said he was too stout.
Yeah.
And he just kind of like punched him in the head. Well, like
Reed?
punched Matt
Reed
Osborne.
punched- okay. Yeah.
No,
Rightfully so.
Yeah, Seth punched Matt Osborne because we couldn't get him off of Reed. And we're like, what the hell? Tremont tried to tell him to ban him off the property. And we're like, listen, we've already paid this guy.
Yeah.
We'll just keep him out in the parking lot. As soon as his match is over, he's gone.
He's got to leave. Yeah.
But this is all happening like
In front of fans?
This
Oh,
is
okay.
thankfully before the show started, but like they're struggling back and forth, and
Yeah.
we're like, "Get off of him! What are you doing? He's being
Wild.
pulled and slapped around, and Reed's like, "I'm gonna get you." Here
Yeah,
comes Manny.
Reed didn't have a short temper.
Here comes Manny walking by with Tommy Dreamer, and they look in, and I'm like, "Hey!" And then they kept going. I was like, "Great! This is what Tommy Dreamer's walking into is just
Oh, I'm sure
complete
Tommy has his
chaos."
stories. Tommy's a good dude. Me and Tommy got into it at one of the WrestleCon shows one time. And
He seems like he kind of be that type. Like he's probably a cool dude, but I'm sure he's very short tempered.
Yeah. Well, he's serious. He understood. Like me and him just had a stance and we both stood our ground, which I think ultimately he respected that I stood my ground to him.
Yeah.
And now every time I ever see him, which is usually at WrestleCon or like we booked him in Shelby.
And he's probably cool with like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Oh yeah.
Pat?"
When every time I see him, he's like, "Hey Pat, how you doing, buddy?" And like dude, I love him to death now. Let's talk, like we got about 13 minutes. The transition from, which I know you still do some XWW stuff when they do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah, we started back last year. We got about 4 shows in, and then somebody reported us to the city of Monroe for not having like the permits to actually run the show because like we're not permitted to run
Live events.
like live events. So Manny
that's such a
Manny
pain in the ass.
spent months and months and all kinds of money getting that taken care of.
Yeah.
And then this COVID crap happened.
yeah.
And I don't mean crap, I'm not downplaying it, but
But yeah,
this
it's-
COVID
but
stuff
it
happened.
ruined a lot of plans.
Yeah, because like, he had struck not like a deal, but he talked about Fight TV about getting some of our content put up there.
Yeah.
All of this, we had a lot of things going on, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, we can't run anymore.
Yeah.
So the ring's still set up out there. Just
Is
we
it?
can't do
You
anything
just
with
can't
it.
do shows. The it's like here.
Yeah, it's set up, but you can't do nothing.
Yeah. The like one thing I've had the hardest transition to is like if I go to a show, it's getting back into the fan mindset. Like, do you have a hard time of transitioning your mind back to the fan, or did you never really leave the fandom of?
No, I definitely did because like there's some shows I nitpick too much because I'm like, no, that shouldn't be like that. Then I'm like, I need to enjoy the show. I have
Yeah.
to tell myself like, enjoy the product. It's not yours.
Yeah.
Don't get mad about it. Don't be
Exactly.
One of my biggest things, I'll go to a show and like the referee's like standing in front of the hard cam. I'm like, dude, like somebody's telling him to move.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing right there? And like,
That's the hardest thing for me is even like WrestleManias is I'll just start nitpicking things, which I have no right to do at all. At all. That like, and I just can't. I think the only show that I've ever just let it go and became a fan was WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans, like when Daniel Bryan won the title.
that was a good one. Yeah.
And it was just like that's the closest I've been to a fan since I got into wrestling. And I just like I know, like I see you. Let me see your whole crew. What's his name? Oh, God, he's gonna hate me because I forgot his name. The designer, Andrew.
Oh, Andrew. Yeah.
You, Andrew, the girl that comes with you guys every once in a while, Amanda.
Yeah.
Like Seth, Bobby. Like I see Chad. I see all these people like just are like 100% like all emotions in on what's going on at Pure shows, at PWX shows.
Oh yeah, I'm all about it.
And I love that about like our hardcores that just love the product.
Yeah, because I've been coming to PWX for a long time.
I know.
Well,
and how long?
I've been coming steady since about 2014.
Oh, I didn't know it was 2015. That long. I thought it was like 2017.
When did y'all do the first Too Close for Comfort out in Hickory?
Oh, 2016, I believe.
Was that 16?
Maybe. Might have been earlier than that.
I think it was 15 because 15
might have been 15.
2015 was the first X16, right? As well.
2016.
See, my years are all messed up.
Because this was the fourth.
Got you. Okay.
I believe, because it was Ethan, Anthony, Drake, Slim.
Yeah.
Are the winners? No. This is the fifth, so you're right.
It was the fifth. Yeah. So 2015. That's when I started coming like steady because
that was the year.
2014
that was the year
is
we
when,
did Too Close for Comfort, right? The first year. Okay.
Yeah, out in Hickory.
Yeah,
like that show was great because it had Tommaso Ciampa, Dalton Castle, and
Matt Sydal, Chuck Taylor,
Chucky T, and Chucky T and Tommaso were the boys for Dalton when he came out, and it was a great little fan moment there. But
that was a show, a prime show of how you don't make your money back.
It was a fun show, but no, I get it.
It was. I remember the story behind that show was we were going to do the Armory in Hickory, which I love the Armory.
That's one of my in Gastonia. I love those armories.
Yes, Gastonia. I've had so much history with Gastonia even before I worked for PWX. But I just love the setup and the I feel like Gastonia is just a nice armory.
It is,
and it's easy to get to off of 85. But that Hickory Armory, I love that big flag in the background.
Yes, it makes for a good hard cam shot.
Yes, and but we were going to do the Armory, and then something happened where they got deployed, so we couldn't do the Armory. So,
I remember hearing that. Like, they had to use it to like house some people.
We hadn't announced the show yet.
Yeah,
but we had like the kind of like 3 or 4 months of venues laid out, and we knew the date. And me and Brian talked, and we're not too keen on changing dates after we've had to the last. But I mean,
y'all have already got hotels and flights and everything booked, so it's hard to move all of that.
Exactly. And we were talking to a few venues in Hickory, trying to keep it in Hickory because I don't really like. We might have to remove Rise of a Champion just because of the Armory situation in COVID this coming year, whenever we're able to do it.
Yeah.
But I remember like finding that place. And it being like a wedding place.
It was small. It looked way too nice in there for a wrestling show.
And they gave us the number, and we could make that work. And we were like, it's going to be tight, like really tight. And the original idea was to do standing room only. But Brian, you know how Brian is with chairs.
Yeah, he always wants his chairs.
Like
they were packed in there too.
The original idea was what happened at Too Close for Comfort here.
With the fest,
yes.
where it was, and that worked great.
It was fun. It was just great, super hot.
Yeah, no, but Hickory was funny because like Andrew and I sat in the back row. Mm-hmm. That was the first show Andrew and I ever like that's what kind of started our friendship.
Oh, really? See, that's what I love to hear. I love people that met at PWX and have become good friends.
Like we met through like a Facebook group, but we'd talk here. It's like, hey, how you doing? But like that was the first one. It was like nobody else wanted to go.
Yeah,
so it was just me and him. But I remember we were going to set front row, but like you could literally just stick your leg out and be in the ring, and it was like,
I remember
let's
we
sit in
posted
the back a little bit. We ain't
a
trying to get knocked
picture.
out.
We posted a picture where like your knee was like a foot from the
Yeah,
ring.
it was like this close, and it was like, let's sit in the back. You know,
and
we
I
get a
think
better
that
view.
was the first match between Ciampa and Henry, right? There's so many stories.
I want to
from
say that was also the show that the Bravados came back.
Bravados didn't. Jake Manning came back at the very end.
I thought the Bravados did because they were talking about burning this motherfucker down.
That wasn't.
That wasn't that too close for comfort.
I don't think.
There's been so many shows between now and then. I can't
keep up with them. I do remember. I remember the boys and Dalton and Ethan, because I know the matches I know from that were the main event was Cedric and Seidel. Somehow at the end of it, the reason I remember it is because I had just talked Jake into coming back, and the crazy thing is, so people that say that we don't plan, the agreement for Jake to come back was that we build to War Games.
Yeah,
and this at X16 the first year is when we set up the experience, which was Corey, John, Adam, and Gunner.
Yes, yeah, that is right. Yeah.
And so we came up with the idea that I would try to eliminate Zane because Caleb wasn't there, because it was Zane versus Chucky T, because Caleb had another booking. And somehow we got to the very end, we got to where John and Corey were holding, or John and Adam or John and Corey were holding Zane. And I was saying, we have to eliminate you from this whole thing, and Jake came,
and that's when Jake popped out
through the crowd.
Okay,
and that was the start of the push to Rise of a Champion. I think the next year where we did War Games.
Got you.
But yeah, when I after the big falling out between Caleb and Jake and Zane and Brian, when I talked them into coming back, we had all put together the idea of let's build to War Games.
Yeah,
like the first time we've ever done War Games,
and that was great too. That was
the funniest thing about that show was we got there and Mike. Have you ever met Mike Doan's Hot Spots?
Oh, a few times, yeah.
So me and Mike is one of my best friends, like in wrestling, and he's given me so many opportunities. He's almost like a mentor to me. We get in there and we had to switch this thing to Johnson C. Smith University, which I loved the way it looked at Johnson C. Smith. And
because it was on that basketball court with the bleachers and everything.
It was beautiful. Yeah. I think that hurt to draw a little bit, but it was still a good house. And we're doing the run through of setting up the cage, and Mike goes, "Hey, have you guys tested the heights of the cages?" And I was like, "No, shouldn't they be the same height?" He's like, "Nope, this is gonna look like trash." And just walks off. And I was like,
"Oh, great. Well, I guess we have to figure this out now."
Mike. And I'm like, "Mike, what?" And it ended up working out, and it was fun.
Good.
Like that was every time we've done 2 War Games, and every time after the first one, I said we're never doing this again because it's so stressful.
There's a lot to it,
and
because you got to have the 2 rings.
What's crazy is I had I feel like I was booking at that time, or a major part of it, and I had no say in that match. Like not that I didn't have any say, I just didn't talk to them. Like we knew who was going to go over. And they
let them figure it out. They figured it out. This is yours to figure out. Go out there and do it.
The way they set up so many things in that match was so beautiful. And there's like matches that you can point to all the people involved and tell how you can tell like from the influence of like of course Zane, Caleb, Jake, the Bravados.
Yeah.
Like you could see Carino's input on it. You have John, Corey, Gunner, Adam. Like just CW was in it. Like you have just such a array of incredible talent.
Funny little tidbit about that show. That's when we were still sitting front row all the time. Mm-hmm. And Steve Carino was out there, and I was talking crap to him, and he looked and he popped John Moses on this because he looked right at me. It was like, "Stand up when you talk to me." I was like, I don't even know what to say back to that. I can't say anything back to that.
Man.
Just like
he's the best.
I remember neighborhood theater one time. He made a kid cry.
Oh, I'm sure.
I forget what he said, but
when he wrestled, was it when he wrestled that one time?
I think so. I just remember he was just cutting, going on the mic, talking crap to people. This kid was like hulking up in the front row, was crying. He was so mad. It was like this kid wants to like physically hurt you right now.
Yeah, I love it.
But
Carino's the best.
But no, I used to go to I started going to PWX shows end of 2011, beginning of 2012. I went to like a handful of them with a buddy of mine, Eric, because I was trying, because like there was all the tension between Tyshawn and Manny from all of that, and I was trying to like, I don't know if Manny knows this or not, but I used to go to those shows to try to help like bridge that gap. Yeah. Because I got in good with Tyshawn. It was just trying to be like, hey, this and this, and then
be the voice of reason.
Well, because at the time with XBW, we had Tommy Thomas and Craig Veltri as our commentators, which was a fantastic team. Yeah. And then Quirky Franks, which is one of the best people I've ever met, was our commentator. Yeah. And at the time, he had started working for PWX a little bit. Yeah. Because I remember he came to me one time telling me, because this is when you were still doing Evo, and you had talked to him about trying to get Manny, like, you wanted to bring Manny in for like a match or something. And of course, Manny was like, nah, I ain't doing anything like that.
Because he thought we were involved.
Yeah. So like I was going to the shows to try to like bridge that gap, and then Tyshawn talked. He's like, "You run sound for XBW, right?" I was like, "Yeah, sometimes." He's like, "Here, run sound tonight for Matt Hardy versus Kevin Steen," and I'm like,
"Oh, did you run sound for that show?"
Yeah.
Oh,
at Neighborhood Theater, and I'm like this is like I'm running shows for indie guys. I'm running stuff for indie guys. This is freaking Kevin Steen. Yeah. And everybody knows Matt Hardy, but I'm like, Kevin Steen at the time
was the hottest
indie wrestler at the time.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous. I was like, man, I'm gonna mess up or something.
Had that big ass screen.
And then I'm like, Mandy's gonna find out and be so pissed off at me because I was supposed to be here to like just as a fan, and then like.
That's the way it goes.
That's
how Brad got on.
Yeah, there was one of those shows when Jake Manning like almost dislocated my thumb. I forget who he was having a match with, but like we were sitting second row and somebody Irish whipped him into the chairs, and we didn't have time to move, so he fell like into us. And I was trying to grab the chair, and my finger popped, and I'm like, ow.
And Jake looked at you like, you okay?
I don't even think he said anything. He was just like, hey, sorry.
I love Jake because every time he like bumps and he takes somebody out, he always like looks at him, puts his hand on their thigh, and then just goes right back into it. It's great. I'm trying to think what we can close with. When are you looking forward to wrestling coming back?
I am. I really
what have you?
am.
Well, let's end with this. What have you done to occupy your time during quarantine?
I've been getting into more podcasts, and I've been gaming a lot more. Like, I'm not a big time video gamer like I do every now and then, but like I've been playing a lot more NHL 20.
Are you a PlayStation or Xbox guy?
PlayStation. All day long.
You can get a PS5?
Probably. I didn't even get a PS4 till a year ago.
Oh, really?
I just now got a PS4.
I still have an Xbox 360.
I still have my PS2.
Do you?
I have a 2, a 3, and a 4.
Sai has a PS3. But I have the old school big body PS3. My friend picks on all my friends pick on me because they'll come over and like if I want to watch Plex or something, I'll do it on my Xbox 360. And they're just like, why don't you have an Xbox One? Dutch is on me all the time.
But you're not a video gamer like that. There's no reason for you to update.
I just don't. I don't have time to do anything
with everything else going on. Yeah.
I wish I was a gamer because they look like there's some amazing games out there, and I wish I could get Sai into gaming just because I think he's like his mind is made for that world. Like he plays Minecraft and builds stuff like ridiculous.
Get him a Switch. Get him into like the Mario and Pokemon games. Those are always fun.
That might be something good for Santa Claus to bring him. But all right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming in.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
You got a free iced coffee about it.
Yeah, I appreciate the coffee, by the way.
But good. Thank you, bud.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, Johnny. Smalls. I should just call you
Johnny Smalls. I'm wearing my small shirt.
He's Smalls.
I am Smalls.
Thank you for listening to the Chewsday Special Podcast. Find all of our old episodes at ChewsdaySpecials.com.
That's ChewsdaySpecials.com.
I don't care.
All right, thank you.